Ready, Mark?
Yep.
I've got 12 o'clock. We'll call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Genslinger.
Here.
Hazlitt.
Here.
Gurza. Here. Osterloo.
Here.
Mintz.
Here.
Schurz.
Here.
Sunny.
Here.
Kosher.
Here.
And Form.
Any conflicts of interest to declare?
I'll abstain from 8, 9, and 14.
8, 9, and 14. Okay. Anybody else? Moving on then. We have an agenda in front of us to approve. Any corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Anybody in the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried. Meeting minutes are provided for the last meeting. Any corrections to be made to those? Hearing none, we're ready for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the previous minutes. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience? We're ready to vote then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next meeting then would be May 12th.
Set the date. Second.
Moved and seconded that we set the date for May 12th for the next meeting. Any further discussion? Anybody in the audience? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. First item on the agenda is a recommendation on Alley Vacation, Horseman Sports, Inc., Rodeo Blues, LLC, Cindy K. Crawl Living Trust, Gerald W. Johnson, Clifford R. and Becky Janine Yeager, Gary and Monica Trabbing, James D. and Susan M. Wright, John Crawl Rev Trust, Mary Crawl Rev Trust, Coupal Family Trust, Pamela J. Weingartner, Cynthia M. Dunlop, Marty Barrington have petitioned to vacate the portion of the 16-foot alley as shown on the plat of Bayside Overlook subdivision. The legal description is listed here in the packet, and I think that's it. Mark, what do you got?
We have had a petition to vacate an alley. Again, this board doesn't have to come through this board, but we ask for a recommendation from you guys anyway for council for their consideration. They would like to vacate the alley that was so that back here, North Harmon is right here. The rodeo grounds is up here for your reference. There's a 16-foot alley that is platted all the way back through this whole area. You remember we've done a couple plats out in this area recently, and all the owners along this would like to vacate that. I think there's some encroachments that are probably back there with some fences and things like that, so they just like to clean up. We don't have any utilities back in that area at all. So if it were to be vacated, it gets split in half. Each landowner that abuts it would get the 8 feet that's adjacent to their property. I can answer any questions that you have, or if I'm missing anything in that.
This might be reaching a ways, but any reason why we would have platted an alley there in the first place? Don't know.
Don't know, it was a long time ago. And the right-of-way that it abuts up to has been vacated as well on the west side here. So it's access to nothing really.
Big dead end.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments, guys? We don't normally, but this seems like a decent proposal here. There's no further discussion. I'm ready for a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the vacation of the alley, or at least a recommendation to vacate the alley. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience want to address this one? Seeing nobody, we're ready for a motion, or excuse me, ready for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plan approval for Paul Gronewig LLC at 1800 block of East First Avenue, its zone neighborhood shopping district.
You'll recall seeing this previously. It is a neighborhood shopping district. There was a variance that was just approved a few months ago for height at 3 stories versus 2.5 stories in this area. This goes in conjunction with the TIF, which is further on in the agenda. They gave us a site layout for the whole project. They did ask if I wanted just the top 3, and I said there's no reason for that, because that way you can see it all tied together. So it's 5 buildings that will have 6 3-bedroom apartments, 1 building that will have 4 3-bedroom apartments, and then a fitness center and a coffee shop. There will be access off of Tiger and Manny Street. There will also be some garages on the north side up here. Sidewalks will be required on all the areas, just like normal. Again, you've seen this picture before. This was for the height portion of it. I can answer any questions that you have with this as well.
Is the applicant here?
He had a bit letting me in water.
Okay. Is there anything to add? Come on up. Nothing to add?
This is all part of the tip, that's next item on the agenda, so we can talk about it at there. But this, we wouldn't have to do this, but for the fact that he would be putting in a potential coffee shop.
No.
Or this is for the housing,
It's
isn't
the
it?
neighborhood shop,
Yeah.
neighborhood shopping, highway business, central business, all have to have plan reviews approved by the.
Okay, all right.
That's what this is.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Any questions, comments from this board?
So we're approving the plan as is this?
Yep, you're approving the top, this, everything from this line north is what you're approving with the neighborhood shopping portion of it.
Okay, because anything south of that, because they're involving a street there that hasn't been vacated or anything yet.
This down here is all our, and this
Right.
street was vacated at one point.
Oh, it is vacated,
It
it
is
is done,
vacated,
okay,
yeah.
so that's, okay,
But yeah, we're just concerned about the top 3 parcels right there, that's zone neighborhood shopping. And it meets all the setbacks for neighborhood shopping. They've got their water and sewer lines proposed along the south side of it there. That would be tying into all their units. Their drainage is gonna be out front on the north side here. There is also city services that come down here, that they can tie into.
They have enough parking for everybody?
They have enough parking for everybody, they actually have over the parking that's required by a little bit with the whole system.
So if the rest of the development doesn't go, then do they have enough parking?
There's 48 there. I believe they'd be right at about right in here. I think they have 1 extra or 2 extra if it's just those 3 lots.
Okay.
So the drainage on it, does it go into the city sewer right there, or is it all run down Tiger Street to the corner?
No, all of that would be, there's a storm sewer that runs basically through the middle of that north and south parking lot.
Right here.
They plan to use, there will be a detention pond required for this site, that drainage would be rerouted through that detention pond and into that storm sewer.
Okay, because we have a lot of issues with sump pumps running and the drainage in that area anyway, so
Yeah.
just don't want it all running down
Yep.
Tiger to Charles.
Sure. And this entire site is still subject to a review from engineering that we'll have to sign off on to make sure all the ordinances are followed and that we feel comfortable with the design.
Okay. Any further questions?
yeah, what kind of complaints did we have last time with that variance, with the 3-story?
The neighbors that have the duplex that is essentially right here, they requested a fence be put up right here. That was really the only complaints that we had for it. Our ordinance states that a fence can be requested by a neighbor if there's parking abutting directly next to it. And with this plan, it's not. There's actually quite a bit of space in between the two.
Yeah, because I know they expanded it further south and that, and of course, we're not doing it today.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
But I just kind of curious
yeah.
for,
It all ties together.
it does, yes. And I just kind of curious what the other neighbors are going to say down that way, and well, so what the plan's going to be if,
I mean, the stuff to the south is all R4. It meets all the zoning requirements,
Right.
height requirements, parking requirements.
so there should be No problem then.
yeah, it's zoned for what
Okay.
they're doing.
All right.
I'm ready for a motion, then we'll open up to anybody in the audience.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plan as presented. Is there any further discussion? Anybody else in the audience like to address this? All right, we are ready for a vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Roll call?
You want to do roll call because of
Abstention?
abstention? Yep, can do that. Roll call, please, Mark.
Havlet,
Yes.
Jurza,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Schmitz,
Yes.
Schurz,
Yes.
Sonny,
Abstain?
Enslinger,
Yes.
motion carried. Plan.
All right, next item on the agenda then is a hearing and action on establishing the boundary and approval of the project plan for tax increment, tax increment financing district number 41.
We have an application for affordable housing TIF. They would be subject to renting at 80% of the median income for the state. You just saw kind of the site plan. Phase one would be the 6 buildings that were along the north side of this development. So phase one would be these first 6. Again, 5 of them are 6-bedroom, or 6 units with 3-bedroom in each one. The last one is 4 units with 3 bedrooms in the coffee shop and the fitness center. And then with phase 2 also, there'd be some garages that would be built along the north end, an outdoor pool possibly, and a park and a fire pit. So there's a total of 70 apartment units. Right now, currently, so layout for the legal is this whole portion up here and Mandy Street going all the way down to Highway 38. The full and true value as it's assessed right now is $364,837. The combined of all of our TIFs in Mitchell, or excuse me, all of our property value in Mitchell is about $1.7 billion, and we can't go to more than 10%. And I think we're at about 1.5 with all of these right now. They are asking for $4,301,866, of which $281,866 is the developer's costs that are TIF eligible, and then the city of Mitchell is actually the capital cost portion of it for $2,020,000. When you look at what they're proposing to do and their eligible expenses, right here, they're requesting for their 2.2 or $2.3 million, which is all of this here, which if you look at the return for the increment, what it actually projects out to is $2.7 million. So there's, or so there's $400,000 that's left over of TIF increment that they're not using. So the city asked the developer if the city then could capture what's remaining on that increment to try and put Maddie Street in. It might be a portion of Maddie Street, it might be all of Maddie Street. We don't know until we get the final numbers and how the TIF is coming back with how fast it's producing and how much they actually use of their requested $2.3 million. And that means that year 3 or year 4 is when the city would then eventually try and look at it and say, okay, we can do this much of Maddie Street just with the TIF. Do we want to budget extra money to do the rest of Maddie Street all the way down to 38? The developer would get paid back his portion of the TIF of the 2.2 cost before the city would recoup anything that we put in of the remainder to get to the 2.7. But the max that can be spent on the whole thing is still the $2.7 million. Or not max spent, but eligible reimbursement cost is still the 2.7.
So if you go back up, Mark, actually, the maximum that could be reimbursed is up to that 4.3.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, the increment projection shows that it's going to be around that 2.7, so there's a good possibility we never get to that total 4.3. But the idea is to capture as much of that leftover increment as possible to help fund that construction of Matty Street. Whether it ends up generating or not, we'll know in that year 4 time frame before we'd be constructing Matty Street, how far that's really going to cover the costs. So otherwise, you know, Mark's hit on a lot of the points already. When you're looking at it in a vacuum without the Matty Street component, it's going to function the same way as we've been doing our last TIFs, where it's a grant pass-through type grant up to their requested developer total of the 2.281. It's going to come into the city, the increment will come to the city, then we pass that on to the developer. Once they get their portion, any of that remainder would then be available to help pay for those costs of Matty Street.
We do a developer's agreement just like we do with any other TIFs. There's 2 developers agreements that goes with this one for the actual TIF and one for the actual development of the land. There's the but-for clause that's in there. They can do it but for the TIF for financing. Answer any other questions you have. Don Peterson's here to represent the applicant. If you have any questions for him.
Do you have anything else, Don?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I would like to point out that Mr. Gronewig has one pre-existing TIF. It was affordable housing, it was on the north side. He obtained that how many years ago, Justin? Was it about 3? About 2 or 3 years ago. That TIF is totally built out. And so that's how it works. That every lot in that development has been sold. I think the last lot, the house is being developed on as affordable housing. So that's one of the good points of a TIF is how they work, and that one worked in a couple of years. Paul's plan, and he would have been here today to talk about it, but he had a bid letting in Watertown he had to be at. But he's aggressively looking at having all the first phase built by November 1st of this year. He's ready to go. He's been ready to go since March, but needs, of course, the approval to make this work. Neat project, a lot of affordable units, potential swimming pool to work out the coffee shop, so I think it'll be an addition. It also is a nice partnership between the city and the private developer, as it may allow Matty Street to be done. One of the things that we do in project plans is when we're projecting out how much the TIF may generate, we never increase the property tax. We lock into what they are today, and that's why most of the TIFs that we've done have paid off in year 15 or 16, and seldom, if any of them, go to year 20. So when Justin's talking about the TIF being able to generate $2 million, that's based on, or 2.4, that's based on today's numbers. We know that those possibly will go up, so it'll probably generate more, and the more that it generates can be used for Matty Street. I can answer any other questions that you may have.
Any questions, guys? All right, with no questions, anybody else in the audience want to address this one? Yes, come on forward.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Simpson, and I'd like to thank having this project plan available on your website. I was able to review it this morning, and I noticed on page 18, kind of a technical thing, but the city of Mitchell levy is listed as 0.0425 when it should be 0.00425. That was the amount used on page 19 to calculate the amount of the increment. So I don't think there's any problem with the project, just that there's a typo type thing that you guys can correct. My question is based on page 21. It talks about the tax increment financing is the developer has indicated that the project is not feasible without the assistance of the tax increment district. According to our guidelines with the city of Mitchell on tax increments on page 5, it talks about proposed uses of tax increment finances will be subject to rigorous economic analysis and risk assessment The analysis may include review and assessment by consultants. The project plan should include detailed information related to economic impact. And so I don't see any detailed analysis of why this project is not feasible without the TIF. And when we're looking at the impact of this TIF on our county government levy, according to my calculation, this TIF would short the county $28,000 a year. And as some of you may know, the county has issues with property taxes and how we finance the county government. According to the legislative auditor of the state of South Dakota, Davidson County was short $300,000 fiscal year 2022. So as we add more TIFs like this one, that problem gets bigger. That's my concern and my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience? Okay, any questions, comments? Anything to add, Mark? Are we good? Is that everything we kind of say?
Yep.
Okay. I think we're ready for a motion then.
I guess I should say,
Yes.
remember, there's two motions that go
Yes.
with something like this.
We need to approve
The first one
the
is set the
boundaries.
boundaries for TIF District 41, and then the other one is approve the project plan and recommend approval to the of TIF District 41.
So let's get a motion to establish the boundaries.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded that we establish the boundaries. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All right, we're ready to vote then. Let's go roll call, please.
Scherza,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Schurz,
Yes.
Sonny,
Abstain?
Adler,
Yes.
Kinslinger.
Yes.
Motion carried for the boundary.
All right, next item would be the approval of the project plan then. Need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the project plan for the TIF as it was presented. Any further discussion on that motion? Anybody in the audience want to talk about that one? Roll call, please, Mark.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Schurz,
Yes.
Sonny,
Abstain?
Adler,
Yes.
Scherza,
Yes.
Kinslinger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next item on the agenda is a plan approval for Long Brothers LLC, 1100 South Burr Street, zoned highway-oriented business district.
Yeah, so again, we're doing the plan approval, that goes with the TIF, that's the next item on the agenda. Here's the property off of South Burr Street, which for the plan approval, it's just, their property itself. They are requesting to do an additional 6 bays, at their location, which includes a 50 by 115 building, a 14 by 95 building, and a 34 by 19, building. It does meet all the setbacks that are required for the ordinance. You can see what it would look like with this as well. For drainage for this, the TIF would incorporate how they're going to drain the water down into the storm sewer, city storm sewer for that, which is actually right there. So the TIF actually will go out to a little bit bigger boundary because it'll include the right-of-ways for them to be able to dig into the right-of-way and then replace it and get reimbursed for that portion of it. Right here again, it's just the plan that we're approving before we get into the TIF.
So the addition is off to the left on most of those images, correct?
Just this front building is the existing, and everything back here is additional. This would be the front, the new 6 bays, and the walk-through area.
Okay, any questions, comments? Ready for a motion then?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plan as presented. Any further discussion on that motion? Anybody in the audience want to address the plan approval? Okay, I guess we're ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item is to hear an action on establish the boundaries and approval of the project plan for TIF number 42.
Again, as said before, now we're expanding the boundaries out to include the right-of-way on Ivy, and then believe this is capital right here, so we've got capital. Like I said before, it's going to, 6 bays would be built on the 3 buildings that I said before. This is an economic development TIF. They have 15 existing employees. With this TIF, they would add up to 10 more. It's a 3-generation business that's been here for 40 years. Again, with ours of the 1.7 billion that we have in a taxable value, and they are at full and true 473,750 currently. Still stays under the 10% that's required. They're requesting $340,000 for in the TIF. Can exceed that, and when you look at their projected, or excuse me, with their cost is actually $416,000, 655.14 of TIF eligible cost. But when you look at the increment that it generates the 340. So that's where they're coming up with the 340. So they're not actually asking for their whole TIF eligible expenses because it doesn't get to that amount. The regular TIF is paid back within the 20 years or sooner. And I said for the infrastructure, I can answer any questions. Again, it's grant pass through, just like the other ones that we've done. Maybe you guys have about 4 clauses there as well. I can answer anything else that you have, or Mr. Don is the representative for this as well, or the actual applicant is here as well. If you have any questions.
Darren Long, one of the Long brothers, is here. If you want to stand, and he can answer any of the questions. In response to some of Steve's comments, and he'll be back up to talk, but one of the things that we all got to remember is that there's a but-for test on TIFs, which means that but for getting the TIF, the project won't go forward. And this is another case that Longs have the plans. They could have started a long time ago, but they need the funds, and this project won't go forward but for receiving the TIF. So when there's talk about the county losing out on taxes, they're not losing out on anything because the project wouldn't be here but for the TIF. And once the TIF is paid off, the county does then get taxes that they otherwise wouldn't get. And so that, if you have any questions for Darren, he can answer them. But it says it's for 3-generation business started by Dale a long time ago. And Darren's sons and some of the other brothers' sons are starting to work in there, so that'll be the next generation in. So,
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, this Ivy Street, and then the city's gonna, or is that what belongs, or are they gonna concrete it, or is it gonna, that's part of it?
Yeah, that was included in the boundaries in case they need to do any utility
Right,
connections. I
but
don't
once you
think,
dig up the utilities, are still gonna go back to gravel? or
I
is
think it
gonna
would
go-
probably be, Joe, you might be able to speak to that more.
Ivy is asphalt right now, correct?
Yeah, Ivy is hard surface, Capital is gravel. They would be required to put them back to the surface that they are currently. I haven't seen the project plan yet, but with this, they will expand their approach pavement out to Capital, which is in the right of way, which would be eligible reimbursed.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, hearing none, we are ready to establish the boundaries.
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that we establish the boundaries as presented. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience? Come on up.
Thank you, John. Steve Simpson. I did review the project, and I have one area that I'd like to have clarified. On page 3, it talks about this addition to their business will add up to 10 employees. And if you go to page 23, it says developer will have the capacity to add a minimum of 10 full-time jobs. So it can't be both. So that needs to be clarified before we move forward on this. Thank you.
Don, do you wish to respond to that?
Yes, it probably should be. It'd be up to 10, and then if the business keeps growing and they need more, it could be more than 10. But as we're looking at the plans now, we're looking at that it'll probably be a maximum of 10 jobs, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be more. So we can correct that typo
Before
on
city
that page.
council.
Yeah, for city council.
All right. Anybody else want to address the boundaries? All right, we're ready to vote then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Next item then would be to approve the project plan for the TIF.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the project plan. Is there any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience want to address that portion? We are ready to vote then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plat for Bertha King, plat of lots A and B in Davison County, South Dakota. Legal descriptions listed here. Mark?
Yep, this is just outside city limits, but within the ETJ, so it's city zoning jurisdiction. They're doing some estate planning is what they're actually doing, breaking out the farmstead into the 5 acres and then the remainder of the 68.87 acres of farm ground. This way they can sell it as one, each lot individually, or the buyer can buy both of them, but it gives them more options for resale value with it. County will have to hear this as well because it is outside city limits. They'll hear it at their first May meeting. There is an ingress egress in the bottom corner right here to get to lot B, which they're using. There's a driveway right there that is on lot A, but that's going to be their access into lot B. I can answer any questions that you have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented. Any further discussion on the item? Anybody in the audience? Ready to vote then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plat for CJM Consulting, plat of Lot 2, Block 6, Woods, First Edition. Rest of the legal descriptions in the packet.
This is following along the master plan, which you've seen. Lot 3 and Lot 4 have just been platted recently. Bob Jackson for a lot and a half, and then the other neighbor got the other half. So now they're just going down the line and platting Lot 2, follows the master plan. Answer any questions that you have for this.
We're only seeing part of the picture, but how do we get access to that lower plat that says CJM Consulting on it, behind Lot 2? There you go.
This is Maddie Street, which is right away. So you can
Okay.
get access through there.
Okay.
Hopefully it gets developed.
Yeah, hopefully.
Joe Schrader, Public Works Director. I just want to add, there is going to be a 10-foot easement on the south side of that that's going to need to be added before being heard by council. It'll be added before council.
Okay. So we could add that caveat to our motion here. Any further comments, questions? Ready for a motion then?
Move to approve of the easement.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat with the easement that's anticipated. Any further discussion on that item? Anybody in the audience want to address this one? We're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is a plat for JTZ Properties, plats of lots 1 and 2 of Singapore Slab Tract 1. Rest of the legal descriptions in the packet. Mark?
This is outside city limits, but within the ETJ, so therefore it's city zoning jurisdiction. County will hear it at their May meetings as well. This is the first step in the process for getting some development out in this area, which will be going on lot 2. Anticipated assisted living for this location. North Harmon has access right off of the south end, and then also you have North Holman on the east side. Answer any questions that you have, applicant here, if you have any questions for them.
Any questions, guys, comments? owner or applicant want to add anything? No? We're ready for a motion then, guys.
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented. Any further discussion on that item?
Just a reminder to go roll call.
Yep, I gotcha. Anybody in the audience? All right, we're ready to vote then. Mark, roll call, please.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Schurz.
Yes.
Sunny.
Abstain?
Havlet.
Yes.
Schurz.
Yes.
Osterlund.
Yes.
Kinzinger.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there any other business to come before this board?
This is actually going to be Larry's last meeting. The mayor is appointing somebody to take Larry's position for the next meeting moving forward. So we
Thanks,
thank
Larry.
for his service.
You're very welcome. Enjoyed it. I guess I'll hit the golf course now.
Yeah, enjoy Texas. You don't have to be on the phone every 2 weeks, huh? Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Yep, no problem. Appreciate it.
We are ready for public input then. If you need to address the board on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Seeing as no one is coming forward, we are adjourned.